I was going to make a video about how a night market feedback thread on forum is full of people saying it's too difficult. But after actually paying attention to who says these things, it's not actually a lot of people. It's basically a few people absolutely spamming the thread. So as long as ZeniMax is smart enough to count individual people instead of individual comments, we should be safe. But I still want to go over these comments, debunk them, show how easy night market truly is, and honestly offer some advice because I see these people as victims of misinformation. I'm going to start by doing the test. I wanted to make the simplest and easiest build possible, because the people in these comments keep harping on how this zone is balanced for meta players. So the build I quickly made is a 1-bar build, no pesky bar swapping. It's a heavy attack build, so no weaving. You just have to hold your finger on your left mouse button. It's also to remove as much skill expression as possible, because I know some people will say the test doesn't count because I'm too good. I am basically holding the left mouse button here, my skill doesn't matter. No subclassing, just in case someone tries to claim that you need subclasses power creep to beat this content. It uses no trial gear, and trial gear would actually be pretty bad in Night Market, because you wouldn't benefit from Minor Slayer, but bad players love to blame their bad performance on lack of trial gear, so I wanted to exclude that too, just in case. Oh, and I also disabled all add-ons, because it's another cope these people like to use. So it uses 2 dungeon sets, Noble Duelist and Sergeant, One Piece Slamcrow, and Ring of the Pale Order. Pretty basic, extremely basic setup. And here's how it went. Alright, let's see. Just give me why it's so bad at showing you when you're stunned. Okay, my HP isn't budging right now. Can keep going, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to tackle a boss. But again, a build this fucking like down beneath, you shouldn't be able to tackle a boss. Okay, there's like a bigger ad here, so just on that. Wonder if I can block the heavy attack, or do I have to like dodge? Oh, I think I blocked it here. My stamina is getting lower actually. How much do you guys want to bet that some lunatic will say it's unfair that I'm dodging the heavy attacks? I'm also logging it, by the way. I actually want to check. Yeah, I turned up all the add-ons, so I can't really check my HPS right now, but let's see on logs how much healing everything does. But the base gimme Y is actually fucking so dog shit. Why are these skills so small? That's like the most important part. I think it's... Look, I'm looking at this, and this is so easy. I'm pretty sure I could survive an Oakensorc build. Like, you got these people complaining that they can't survive on their Oakensorcs, yeah? But it isn't like some... I would survive it on Oakensorc. Like, Oakensorc isn't that bad. Oakensorc isn't like nearly enough, like this bad. It makes me wonder, like, what else are they doing? What else like they aren't showing? Because another funny thing about this thread is that whenever someone says that they're doing fine, some dude literally posted his superstar to show his build. But people who say that it's too difficult, they always like hide the facts about their build. I probably should test trash in other areas so they don't say I choose the easiest one. What is autopilot button? WoW. It's not in WoW, it's an add-on for WoW. There's basically an add-on that shows you like an arrow, like an arrow where to go at all times when doing quests. It's actually kind of dystopian, I would say. Oh, look, there's an ally! But the people in that thread said nobody would help. But there would be nobody. Oh, negate. Okay, we cleared a pack in this zone. So yeah, I'll probably be making a video about the thread. Because I really don't want this good content to be taken away from us. Oh, this might be difficult one. I wonder if I could block him. Okay, this trash pack is definitely a lot more difficult than the other ones, I would say. Specifically because of how many like CCs the Hackwings have. That makes it really annoying. Yeah, more difficult than the other ones, but still manageable. I know there were many people who haven't tried Night Market and were worried about the difficulty based on those comments, and I hope I cleared that a bit. Now on to the comments. I don't wanna be showing their names in a video, but I kinda gotta show you how many of them are the same people just spamming the thread. So I'll refer to them as person A, B, C, etc. So person A writes, in response to how have you found the difficulty of the Night Market? Please provide any additional context to the difficulty rating below. Way too difficult. You see, I found myself trying alone at first and died within 1 second of entering with my companion, Tank Isobel. Alright, you did say get a helper, so I found a group of 3 in there and still died within 1 second of entering. I tried another character that had a little bit of save yourself, and does more damage. I kept dying every minute or so. I also tried sneaking around to avoid combat. That went very poorly. This is not fun as it stands. I truly wish you had not made this zone more difficult like this. I think that it is going to keep many people away who do not want harder content like this. This would have been the perfect place to try the adjusted difficulty options for people, so that you are not forced to play on hard difficulty. Okay, this person gives no details about their build or anything, so it's kind of impossible to help them. They said they found a group and still died within 1 second of entering, which is ludicrous. Like you've seen me tanking these trash packs on a very simple and weak build. And the please to not make any content hard is just disgusting. We are not getting any dungeon this year. For people who want difficult dungeons, this is the only content they're going to get this entire year. While casuals will get all kinds of stuff like questlines, etc. But no, they want more, everything has to be made for them. Now person B writes, personally, I feel this might be a little too difficult for the average player. My builds aren't perfect meta, but they're not garbage either. And even when teaming up with other players, we get wrecked. I shudder bringing my less experienced friends / guildies into this. I like seeing more difficult stuff, but this is a little too much I think for the average player base. So I am voting too difficult. Okay, so this person will actually give us some more details about their build later on. And you will see that they are in fact garbage, and not just not meta. Now person C writes, far too difficult. It was said in the livestream that it's geared towards experienced players and groups, and that it's meant to be accessible to everyone. But right now, aside from people running super meta builds, solo players aren't going to be really able to do much. And it is 1000% not accessible to everyone. I don't have the greatest build, but my Oakensorc is solid, both in terms of damage and survivability. I literally get melted within seconds and also do next to no damage in the first packs of mobs I come across in the Skitting Precinct. Okay, so I help a lot of people with their builds on Discord, and over time, you can kinda tell the build they're following based on their lingo. And people use the term Oakensorc, not just one bar heavy ag build, specifically this word, Oakensorc. There's a massive chance this is a Zyno build, but a decent chance for a Hack the Minotaur slop. Now, these builds are pretty bad, and Oakensorc isn't even the culprit. They have other issues, like using pets, which are pretty bad for solo, or Stormmaster, which is another pretty bad set. So Oakensorc is in this case more of a symptom rather than the cause. Because I am pretty sure that you can solo it on an Oakensorc build. The trash isn't that hard. Now I said at the beginning that I see these people as victims of misinformation. And yeah, like, they actually think they're bringing good builds to this place. Not meta, but decent. And that's because people put way too much trust in content creators. And it's not just casual players. In the past, I have seen endgame tanks follow pretty bad advice from a mid-gamer tank, just because they were a content creator. And in this case, people are following these awful Oakensorc builds because they're coming from content creators whom they trust. You shouldn't trust content creators. Then why would you trust me? Well, the difference is, I know I'm right. Just kidding. The difference is, I'm showing logs and recordings, lots of logs and recordings in each of these builds. Just so you don't have to trust me, you can just look at the logs where literally every action is recorded, every GCD, every buff and debuff expiring. You can even watch a replay of a whole fight from top down. And I wish that was the standard in ESL content creation instead of whatever is happening, because that's the reason we have to deal with so much misinformation. That's the reason why the average player is so bad, because they literally cannot access good information without someone guiding them. But that was a bit of a digression. If this is going to be the whole zone for the season, it needs to be adjusted more. It doesn't need to be as easy as current Overland, but maybe adjust the overall zone to vet dungeon or something so people who play solo actually have a chance at doing stuff here. Okay, it already is kind of like a vet dungeon. Like this person is just making stuff up. And later on you'll see the kind of insane test they've done. It's completely fine if parts of it require grouping, but considering it's something that solo players are supposed to be able to access, the difficulty 100% needs to be cranked down some. Did you try different activities? If so, did you like them? Please let us know whatever you think worked and what missed the mark. There was no way for me to try anything else when I literally got punted to the moons the moment I went into the zone proper. Did anything not function to your expectations? The zone difficulty, Mao? To which person B responded with, "Thank you for this post. I feel like I'm going crazy with everyone saying it's fine, lol." Now we get a new contender. Person D says, "How have you found the difficulty of the night market?" Too difficult. I heard to see 200k mobs when it was supposed to be non-group required. I felt betrayed and very angry. Didn't want to play the game after dying the second time. So yeah, 200k is absolutely nothing crazy. They're just so used to the 30k HP in Overland. And then person C responds to person B. I generally feel like the people who are saying it's fine are people running super optimized meta builds or theory crafted stuff that operates at the level of meta builds. Okay, so my meta setups currently are passing around 72k on the skeleton dummy, and the super easy setup I put together just for this test does half of that. 50% away from meta. It does half the damage of meta, and it was still easy to solo all the trash by holding left mouse button. Like, these people are trying to get this content nerfed to a point where you'll be able to like get naked and hold left mouse button and also clear stuff. It's ridiculous. There are going to be people with high-end builds that can absolutely wreck everything, and this will does feel fine and balanced to them. But for more average players who don't have biz gear, see, I told you, this is why I didn't use any trial gear, and the like, are really going to struggle. It will be fine with it being harder, closer to what Kraglorn used to be before it got nerfed. But as it stands, this is worse than what pre-nerf Kraglorn was. Yeah, you could get annihilated there by a couple of wasps, but I don't remember ever dying as quickly then as I do now in the night market as it is currently. And I got to a point where I could solo Kraglorn at VR4 with non-meta gear too. It was tough and I had to be careful, but I could do it. But this? I don't have a meta build at all. But I do have a better build on a more developed character than I had access to back in VR days. Again, this person will show us their build later. Wait for it. But I'm not able to progress at all in this instance. And let me stress again, so no one can try to twist this into, you just want everything to be as. I don't mind if it's harder than current Overland. I don't mind if it gets put on par with vet dungeons. It is on par with vet dungeons. I don't mind the bosses requiring working with other players. But as it stands now, I can't even do basic questing with an Oakensorc. That, while not the strongest, can do a slew of other more difficult content, without getting absolutely wrecked. I shouldn't be taking vet HM boss damage from trash mobs. And you aren't. Okay, I want to stress this again. This is not an Oakensorc issue. This term, Oakensorc, is commonly being used by people who fell for misinformation guides. I can assure you, you can clear night market trash with an Oakensorc build, but again, Oakensorc in this case is a symptom. The builds they're using most likely have some other way bigger flaws, like the pets, Stormmaster, etc. And in some cases, I've even seen Hack the Minotaur Heavyak builds that don't have any way to perk off balance, which is, you know, a 70% damage bonus for heavy attacks. Even spamming my heals, I die within like 5 seconds. This is ridiculous. Like, you've seen me. Like, even if I stood AFK there, I would survive for 5 seconds. Either the damage outweighs said heals, or I run out of magicka. If I make the mistake of actually trying to fight and use 1 or 2 damage skills, I usually die a little bit sooner. If I'm taking that much damage that quickly, that I can't even actually fight and need to spend the whole time just healing before inevitably dying, yeah. I really wish I could see the recording of this, because this just sounds like a load of bullshit. Like, you've seen me doing that. It doesn't look like that. Then person B responds to person C. You're right, and yes, there's a happy medium between Overland/normal dungeons, where most players are falling asleep, and then this misery. And not everybody has a pocket of troll buddies to call upon to simply explore the new time zone. You don't need buddies, you can solo these trash packs. That's another aspect to address, is the moderate level of FOMO with the insane difficulty. I went in there with a solo Arcanist Oakensorc build, because I wish they would give more details about these builds. And while I could kill some of the trash packs if I was careful, it was very easy to be taken off guard and wiped too, even with 30k plus HP and some heavy armor pieces, plus beam shield and all that. I didn't just go in with a squishy thematic DPS. Zerif of course dies very quickly to anything besides trash packs, if not babysat. And boss fights, everyone's companions died, so they're basically worthless here. I mean, yeah, companions are worthless. I've also seen companions dying all over the place, but they've always been worthless. Nothing has changed here. People using companions in the current Overland are just playing pretend, because these bombs can't tank, can't heal, and can't do damage. Companions already are useless, and Night Market doesn't change anything about that. You just don't see them dying in an extremely easy content, but that doesn't mean they contribute anything. I also really want to commend this one person actually showing their build. It's very telling that someone who's okay with the difficulty is actually transparent about the build they used. While people who complain it's too difficult, they're saying, "It's a good build, sir, it's solid, but I won't tell you what it is." Now person E says, "Wow, you're not kidding about the difficulty. Trying to test now, but no one is on AE Steed evening time. I'm one shot as soon as I enter on my best vet DLC dungeon DPS. I last for 15 seconds on my tankier Eye Runner, who can get to Arc 4. Arc 4 is really not that guy. Tried on a full sneak nabblade, but the mobs seem to be able to detect me anyway. Might be too difficult." And I want you to remember person E, because they'll make a comeback and reveal a grueling fact about their actual DPS. And now person F. Probably the most deranged one. Not based on this comment, but based on something they'll say later on. How have you found the difficulty of the night market? Too difficult. I'm a solo player and far from being top, but I can solo normal dungeons, maybe not all possibly soloed, didn't check, but at least some DLC I can, and some base vet dungeons. I can solo some DLC world bosses. I go not very far in Archive, die on 3rd arc, which again is extremely low, but I believe that it can be better with upgrades and some practice. Half of deaths are due to unknown boss mechanics. So I think I'm not the most casual player. Yes, you are. Here, I die from mobs, as this is supposed to be available to everybody and not the hardest PvE content, and since it has a house with unlockable parts as base reward, after reading the achievements I was expecting, when entering, something like normal DLC dungeon or base vet. Should be a bit careful with mobs. Bronze will be like dungeon bosses, huh? Need time and attention, maybe with several tries because of mechanics, but able to do. Silver will be harder and I'll need help. So 2 for people like me with some efforts can do. I don't know what they're talking about with bronze and silver. But better players can do solo. Gold are almost impossible for me, and platinum I shouldn't even look to. After I entered, there's nothing to do without organized group. I managed to do that quest with placing, activating things only by die, run to activator while ghost, and hope it will activate faster than I'll be killed. If done, run in direction of respawn place nearest to next point. I did kill X mobs daily only after met group and run after them. Mobs. I returned to life to compare with dungeons, with same build. I finished normal Lepseclusa, DLC dungeon I have but never entered before, and one of first vet dungeon solo. And of course they didn't say which one. And it was much easier. And I even didn't touch anything stronger than bronze in Night Market. And the next message from them. Continue to test limits of my power. Same build, solo with companion. Vet Lepseclusa. Killed first bunch of mobs without any difficulty. Normal Lepseclusa I earlier finished solo. Normal Etherean Archive. Companion died somewhere in the middle of the fight. It took some time but I finished that batch of Achonax, with burning Rant under my feet. Vet Etherean Archive. Companion died in seconds. I survived for several minutes and killed a few Achonax. Night Market? I survived for several seconds against any group of mobs. That looks very, very wrong. Now, this might seem like a reasonable test to someone who doesn't remember Lepseclusa. But first trash pack in Lepseclusa is the one where Garvin chucks a boulder at an innocent Dune Ripper to show you the mechanic you'll have to do during his boss fight. The only 2 elite ads left are the Storm Mage and Hajmota. And they just don't do that much damage, even combined with all that fodder. Survive by holding left mouse button? Fuck that, I can survive without pressing anything as long as I have Hurricane and Blockade running. This is insanely low incoming damage. So it's an insanely disingenuous test, like insanely misleading. There's no way they didn't know what they were doing. They chose the one trash pack from a vet DLC dungeon that does absolutely nothing and tried to use it as an argument saying, see? I can solo a vet DLC trash pack but can't solo Night Market. This is too difficult. Nerf please. And it's the same with Etherean Archive. The Achonax we encounter at the beginning are extremely weak. But in Night Market, I survive for several seconds against any group of mobs. That looks very, very wrong. Now, person C pleads to Finn to nerf this disgusting difficult piece of content. Zos Finn. You guys can't state in your reveal livestream that the zone is meant for both groups and experienced players, as well as being accessible to everyone. Then admit that you made it so people are encouraged to group. Have we not learned from things like dragons and harrowstorms that making content like that doesn't work long term for average players? There's a big difference between being encouraged to group and being forced to, and as it is, a majority of people will be forced to group to do even basic exploration and questing. Okay, so the first thing that's wrong with that is that night market will be there for 1 month. There will not be a time where it stops being relevant and people leave it. It will only be there for a month. It will not lose momentum like harrowstorms or dragons. Now next thing, I am still seeing people on dragons and harrowstorms. I was doing dailies for harrowstorms and I always saw at least 2 people doing these. And it's the same with dragons. I might start a dragon alone, but once you start one, it only takes like a minute for someone else to join you. I literally can't solo a dragon. It's literally impossible to solo a dragon because people will just join you. They're still there. What exactly are you guys considering the definition for experienced players? Is it people who min-max their builds, dump hundreds of hours into theory crafting? Is it people who run trial gear? Of course it's the trial gear! Is it people who run ultra optimized rotations and such? Or is it people who have played the game long enough to understand the mechanics and how the game works? Who know how to apply buffs and debuffs and such effects and take advantage of them? Now I want you to remember that these people are like bragging how they play during the veteran rank times. And I'm just a zoomer who played for 6 years. Because right now it really does feel like it's more the former than the latter. You can lower the health and damage of mobs so that you still don't melt them in seconds and have to actually pay attention to your health, while also not getting entirely demolished yourself. Make it like how group content in Crackdown is like now. Difficult on your own, but doable. Now if you nerf the trash in the current state, it will be genuinely laughable for any experienced player. Also, this is a PvE zone, so doesn't that mean that the overland difficulty scaling thing that's coming will affect the night market? No, it won't because it's coming out after night market. Or will it somehow be exempt? If it's going to be included... Okay, I won't read the rest of the thing because they're just wrong. It's coming after night market. Person B is back. Fun fact, I can actually solo harrowstorms and most later game DLC world bosses, so I'm not a sucky player. But yes, 110% yes. The forums is a bad gauge for difficulty anyway, because the most dedicated players are here. Thus, it naturally leans towards elites, the people who are best at the game, so of course they're happy. This is absolutely insane. No, the forums are biased in the other direction. Forum is way more casual than the average player. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, because anyone who looks at forums know that forums lean casual. Forums heavily lean casual, and not endgame. Timed content should not be gated behind such a difficult wall though, because the average player barely knows the major and minor debuff system. That's just not true, what the fuck? What kind of assumption is that? Which is its own issue, but still, how is the major and minor debuff system an issue, what? Does he want to dump the game down even further? I'm not saying dump it down to Overland style, nobody is saying that, but there's a happy medium to be found here. And if someone knows and cares for the game enough to be able to solo dungeons and harrowstorms... Okay, so first of all, harrowstorms aren't that difficult, and the second thing is, they're very random. So saying you solo the harrowstorm is kinda pointless unless you said which boss it spawned, because some bosses are difficult, and some bosses are pushovers. They should be able to do this with some effort, but that's not what we're seeing. Now back to Person F. While it's true that Market on Live will be much more populated than PTS, I want to remind of one problem with there will be enough players to melt anything. Time. Market wouldn't be equally populated 24/7. I don't know how it is on other servers, maybe the players are distributed more evenly, but PCEU has clear peak time. Okay, I will stop reading there because the cap is 36. There is no way. I'm sure that even at 4 AM, the entirety of Europe will have at least 36 people to fill an instance. And again, this is a 1 month long event. It won't lose momentum. Person D is back with an insane research method. We did one of the lower rounds 200k ads. The friend died silently twice and was looking for an escape route. I helped them use the PTS boxes to be outfitted with gold armor and weapons. They lasted 2 rounds after that, but nothing was getting dead very fast. The friend stepped back, left me alone in the fight area, and rearranged their skills. After this, we managed to kill about 30 of the mob level 200k, 300k. We got tired of dying and went to test their builds in a dungeon. They didn't die in the group dungeon. They died in the night market, but did not die in the dungeon. Which dungeon? Who cares? It was a dungeon. Don't ask too many questions. It's a good dungeon, sir. Also, forget about getting details about the builds used. Then the same person says in a different comment. There's a quote from Zos. We did want this content to be difficult so that players are encouraged to group, so that was a driving factor behind the current level of difficulty. When I read this line, I was angered. All this talk about FOMO was nothing but hype. You have created another zone that limits who can play there. Each time this happens, the solo-friendly portion of the game shrinks in percentage of the whole. I did not come to this game over a decade ago to be herded into a group cage. Please stop trying to push this massively multiplayer online into being a co-op, and stop trying to force players into a playstyle they are not comfortable with or enjoying. It will only cause them to leave the game for something less stressful and more their style. I am done testing this, and I will never play in such a zone in the live game. Stop trying to push this MMO into being a co-op, you filthy fucking developers. And then this. You stated you did not want to divide the player base. It is happening right here. When you have players clearly saying that they don't like a group or don't like solo, you have a division problem. When you make solo content, groups can play it. When you make group content, solos cannot play it. This segregates the players and creates aggression. It is happening right here in this thread, and it is happening in the game. Members who prefer solo cannot make statements of their interest, but being attacked in the threads, so you are not going to hear how they feel about the process. Now we can hear it pretty well, you're literally spamming this thread. The event will not be fun when it goes live. Group players will crowd the event first 2 days, and anyone who has a job or real life responsibilities that bring them in later will find that event dead. So again, the event will last a month. All those jobless endgame players aren't leaving the zone after 2 days. The only way it will stay active throughout is if the experience is high or there is a chance to get something, like leads or parts to us. You are getting leads for the new status effect mythic! Then the event will be like the Dolmen in the Alkir Desert, with a constant flow of overpopulation that results in no player getting a fun experience from the fight. What is that even supposed to mean? If you want to add challenge without breaking the game, scaling is the answer. If you want to divide your player base and chase off the solo runners, forcing groups is the good path for it. Let me remind you, we are not getting a dungeon this year. This is everything group players are getting for this entire year. Solo players, or let's say casual solo players, because I'm also a solo player, cannot access one thing, and they're throwing up this much of a fit. Back to person B. Thank you for saying this. I play tank most of the time too, in instance group content. And it sounds like as it stands, that's my best option. But there's a reason tank players are so rare. Maybe numerous reasons. Plus, with it being limited time FOMO kind of approach and super grindy, there's a triple layer of issues with the night market. It's too hard for the average player base. You're not average. It's too grindy for most people with jobs. Night jobs. He thinks Endgame ESO is some kind of esport where you can live off of it. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's timed, so once again, if you have a life and can't play as much, you're out of luck. This guy actually thinks that score pushers don't have jobs. It's not healthy for content to have a triple layer barrier like this. It needs to be at max 2 of these things, and definitely not difficult plus timed. Grindy and difficult could go together. Grindy and timed could also go together. Though it kinda sucks, but not all 3. Oh my god. And then the same guy is back. Tried Night Market again to see if I was just having a bad day on my solo Arcanist with Zerif, decked in full purple tanking gear. Do I have to keep repeating how bad companions are? It doesn't matter what you deck them with. My character is decked with full gold gear. That doesn't matter. 2 skills to provide healing and shields to both himself and Zerif. Over 30k HP, over 22k armor before buffs, though with Oakensorc. Now, let me stop you there for a moment. What do you mean? Before buffs, though with Oakensorc. Exactly. If he's using Oakensorc, there is no after buffs. He already has the armor. 2 sources of shields, one being beam though, numerous sources of healing, 2 skills and tentacle smack. Okay, so let's count. He has beam, he has tentacle, but then he has a shield and 2 heals. Do you see what I'm seeing? He doesn't use scholarship on a beam build. It really looks like this guy is just like pushed all the way on the defensive and just spams heals and shields until it's out of resources and doesn't even try to do any damage. I really wish I could see the recording of them playing, because they're giving so few details about their build. Like, it's so funny how this guy keeps thinking that he's hot shit for soloing a Harrowstorm and thinks he's above an average player, because they're not. We both just get carp stomped by random mobs, especially the pack with the big 200 sword guy, who makes the fire ring. It's not right away, I can even kill a few smaller packs, but it goes downhill fast. Now, person D pulls out the "but I paid for it" argument. The part that I place in bold is what the problem is. Too much of the content requires grouping. Everyone who pays, pay the same Why should they not have access to content they want to do? Perhaps all group content should be placed behind a paywall. It kinda is. This way, those who cannot do the content because they want group don't have to pay for content they won't be using. And here's the best thing. Night Market is free! It's just free! It isn't paid! Night Market is just free content. This person just made this up. They aren't paying for Night Market. Oh my god. Person C. Except they literally said in the livestream reveal that it's meant for experienced players and groups, but also designed to be accessible to everyone. So that kind of shoots down the tired and overused not all content is for everyone argument. They can literally lower the HP trash mobs have and the damage they do to be more in line with DLC dungeon stuff. It is in line with DLC dungeon stuff. Before they got made easier. They can 1000% make it less difficult without gutting the difficulty entirely. No, they can't. They literally can't. If you make it less difficult, it's gonna be piss easy for the average player. And especially for the average group. Because remember, it's group content. Like I said, make it more like how pre-Nerf Clagrun used to be. Grandpa really misses their dinosaur. When you go to a certain level, both in terms of gear, rotation and skill experience, you could go in solo even though it was difficult to do. And you could still get folded by a pack of 3 wasps, if you weren't careful. Okay guys, tell me, were these wasps actually that difficult in the prehistoric times? Or are they also making stuff up here? Can any old player enlighten me? But the way it is now is too difficult for average people, which, when they said in the livestream, it was supposed to be made for everyone to access it, isn't really a great look. Also, to touch on the point about this is the PTS and the numbers here aren't like on live, there will be floats of randos to run with. If the pop cap is 36 per instance, there's a very good chance you won't be running across others. Okay, this is ludicrous. The districts are very small. Like, these people act like districts are like some massive zones, but they're really, really small. Plus, as others have said, what if you only have time to play outside peak hours for your region? Making it limited time just means people will rush the content so they get everything they want before the market goes away for a while. And then for the rest of the time, the people who didn't or couldn't rush will be like that meme from the room of what's his name looking around. Now this is more of a reasonable concern, but still, I can't imagine there not being at least 36 people at any given time, continent-wide, on something that's only going to be there for a month. It happened with dragons, with Harrowstorms. No, it didn't! No, it didn't! I still see people on dragons and Harrowstorms. It just didn't happen. And other incursions that have been added. Eventually people will finish the content, and those left behind either struggle to find enough people to do them, or have to wait for events that might only happen every once a year, if then. And if nothing new is really added, when the night market comes back, it will be less incentive for people to go back into it, if they already got everything they wanted the first time. As Oz said, they will be adding stuff each time. That's probably going to be less of a concern, since I can't imagine them not adding more stuff every time it comes around, but still. And then, Person D drops this absolute banger. No, I do not want to group. I'm not looking to make friends in a video game. Okay, so there's this website called Nexus Mods, and it actually lets you add anything you want to your Skyrim, and I feel like that person should try it. And after a long wait, we're back all the way to Person A. Here are a couple of thoughts for you after plowing through the thread thus far. Lower trash mob difficulty. Absolutely. It desperately needs it. Especially with a cap of only 36 players who will more than likely all be on the other side of the instance when you walk in. What? Why would that be the case? What? And nowhere near where you want to go if history repeats itself. No, like, objectives are shown on the map. Players will converge on these objectives. The only thing that isn't marked are the minigames, but you don't need other players for them. This helps to prevent people from just throwing up their hands and saying, nope, not going to bother, after dying to the same single trash mob 20 times in the span of 5 minutes, within 200 feet of the door. This is just a slightly exaggerated example to make the point. This will make the inexperienced player happier. The chances of at least half of the people in the game having trial... It doesn't benefit from Minor Slayer! Trial gear is shit! Trial gear is generally shit in this zone! Change your Ansel to... like... Orden's Wrath is better than Ansel in this zone, because you don't benefit from Minor Slayer. Oh my god. It's probably not that high, and it certainly sounds like you're probably going to hurt a lot without it. Not many people are going to do trials just to get... Jesus fucking Christ, I keep saying how bad players always blame trial gear, but this is ridiculous. Trial gear is at most like a 5% difference in instances. But here, it's straight up worse. Get this to your head. Order's Wrath will be stronger than Ansel in Night Market, because that 3-piece Minor Slayer line doesn't work on Night Market. The crafted gear is straight up stronger. Your gear isn't the issue. Not going to happen. Keep boss difficulty as is. This will definitely keep the experienced player happy. Well, at least we have that. Throw out your decision to not allow challenge difficulty in the night market. Night market clearly needs it. No, it doesn't. Re-add the ability to use solo gems on yourself. Trying to get back to the group that left you behind and does not care about you is not fun. What kind of friends do you have? If you cannot survive even a single trash mob because you do not have elite gear and do not play the meta. Let me once again show you me in my meta build that does 37k DPS on a dummy. And then person B agrees with that and says, this will be good. It feels like a happy medium between the two sides to me, especially including challenge difficulty for those who somehow feel it could be harder. It makes no sense because challenge difficulty doesn't provide any big rewards. It's only there to make the content harder because of how ridiculous Overland currently is. It wouldn't work well in night market. And yes, that's a reality check the devs need about groups. Very rarely do people give two fricks about the noob that died. You're just going to be left behind and separated from your group, and unable to fight your way back at the current power level of the trash mobs. Again, are you people in some fucking sociopath guilds? Like, what do you mean your teammates will not wait for you? Then, after Finn confirms the cap of players will be 36 per instance, person B declares night market dead on arrival. The entire night market is one zone, so this would be for districts and hub. Gilded bosses are 4-player instances, and Opulent Ordeal is a 12-player instance. Okay, so that's actually insane to only have 36 players across the entire zone. Yeah, this is toast on arrival after the first week at best on live. And person A agrees. 36 players across the whole, I could maybe see 36 per That's fucking these people, have these people actually went inside these districts? 36 per district would mean there's like one trash pack per person. And you'd be literally fighting to get like a fucking damage stick when a boss spawns before it. Ugh, I'm so done. But the entire? No offense, but that sounds insane. What is the reasoning behind this, please? But what's this? Person D claims to get bullied by the moderators? Do what you want. I am tired of being bullied here. Even the moderators are bullying my post to favor other players here. I am done. You win. I don't care about this game anymore. Not cool, Kevin. Not cool. Person F forgets to switch off Cyrillic alphabet, but agrees. 36 players, so average is 9 for zone, as somebody will always be talking with NPC, trading and so. At least half would be not enough experience for these players. There will be much more on live than on PTS. At least third will be in process of resurrecting. What? What a ludicrous take. With nearly one-shotting mobs. No, they aren't. With a lot of grind. What can go wrong? Oh my god. No, back to person E, and I told you to remember them. To be fair, I said that many times. How do you feel about the distribution of rewards during this event zone? Terrible. After an hour where we killed several 3-mil bosses, 2 9-mil bosses, and 2 25-mil bosses, I got, wait for it, 160 favor. The cheapest thing I can buy is 2000. And 2 trade bars, just 2. Oh, and the gold reward for the full kill daily gave me 1 purple weapon. Okay, so first I think they're wrong about how favor works. You don't spend it. You need a certain amount of favor to buy something, but you pay for it with gold. You do not spend favor. I really can't tell from their message. Do they think they have to spend the favor? Or do they know it's just for unlocks, but still think this is too slow? Also, I got like 700 after 3 hours of basically fucking around and trying to just get information and not grind. The most important part is the boss health was just too much. 15 min plus on a single fight is no fun. Okay, so let's do some math and let's give them the absolute benefit of the doubt. Let's assume it actually was just 15 minutes, not 15 plus. And let's assume they fought the strongest boss, so 30 million HP and not some fodder. 30 million HP divided by 900 seconds gives us 33,000 group DPS. They said they played in a 3-man group of companions. 33,000 group damage is not average. I actually did DPS testing in random queue, so I got data from actual average random players. And the average player did 43,537 DPS. So the average group DPS is something around 90k to 95k, when you count in a bit of damage from the tank and healer. You can't balance the content which you're advertising as genuinely difficult around someone who's this much on the lower end. They're not average. And one more thing that I'm surprised I haven't seen in any of these messages, these people never mention the verses. Like, you can finish minigames in the night market and get powerful verses, like Flame Aura, or if you kill Roxa you can get Swift Gale. And once you get those, you're like giga powerful for 50 minutes. Like, even if you are this far below average, just finish a minigame, which I assure you aren't that hard. Get the power up, and then you'll have a much easier time clearing the rest of the night market. And that's it. Holy crap, that was a lot. I really want to encourage you to leave feedback in that thread. Please. We actually have a chance to get some good content from Zos. Don't let a few lunatics take it away from you. Zos pays a lot of attention to forum feedback. So please, if you want content that doesn't make you fall asleep, go there and leave your feedback. Thanks for watching, or more like listening, and see you next time.